100% failure rate. And Ruchita is playing a big role in changing our understanding about our own bodies, our relationship with dieting, with food, and with health. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ruchita Devi.
Hello.
Hi. Ruchita, we were absolutely a full house, and I wish all the last three speakers and you had that. I think our dinner break has chased everyone away, so we're sorry for you to have a...
No problem.
Yeah. So, Ruchita, I think all of you also know that Ruchita, you always need that little hook, but Ruchita helped Kareena Kapoor, Alia Bhatt, Anupam Kher, many people change their relationship with their bodies, so that's a hook. But what's much more interesting is that you say the best way to lose weight is to keep eating. What do you mean by that, Ruchita?
I think it's pretty much what you guys have been talking about. It's more of being in tune with what you actually want. Everyone in the nutrition science societies and now even in sports academies has started talking about how women are much more underfueled than what they need to be, which is also why even when you see a woman athlete, even in something like as simple as a tennis match, they're going to not be at their best in their second set or in the second half of football, because women care just so much about how thin they look and how Instagrammable they look versus how well fueled they are for the task, or whether they're fueled for their dreams and ambitions and aspiration. So yes, we must eat more. On the one hand, as women, we want equal opportunities, we want our space under the sun, we want the stage, we want everything. But we want to reduce ourselves to the smallest possible size. And we must know that just because we eat more in tune with our appetite, we are not going to get fat overnight. And when we eat much lesser, we are not the prettiest girl in any room, any which ways. Yeah.
It's amazing, Ruchita, especially for someone like me who loves rice. You have been tweeting that rice is nice. You've also said that actually it's important to eat some fats, it's important to have sugars, it's important to have humor and health. But yet you are famous for actually having very fit bodies and slim bodies. So help us understand that. What is the good fat, good rice?
I really think that, looking at fat from the point of view of carb, protein, fat is like looking at people from color and race and, gender. It's just another ism, and just like the way we stand up to racism, ageism, sexism, we must stand up to nutritionism. If we all start eating according to nutrients, we would all be eating alike, and that's when I think we will all be at war with each other. One of the things that keeps harmony within societies is the fact that we eat differently from each other, which is also why it's interesting to travel to places, to go to our friends' home, to have our aunts over, because then we eat different kind of food. We break the monotony of just eating the same kind of food, and it makes our mundane lives more interesting, So it's important that we eat according to what is local, what is in season, what is traditional. So according to time-tested recipes, and not according to kisme protein hai, kisme fat hai, kisme carb hai. Because when I started working, there's this dish called pav bhaji, right, in Mumbai. So when I started working, I would call them dukhi people, people who are on a diet, who don't like eating well. They would avoid butter in their pav bhaji. Now people are avoiding pav with their pav bhaji, and I think the next step is that avoid the bhaji with, and like have a pav bhaji dinner where you actually eat nothing, So life is really about eating good food, coming together over good food, sharing stories and experiences, and connecting with each other over food. It's not about a calculation of how many grams of protein did I just consume, how many grams of carbs did I just consume, oh my god, is this good fat or is that bad fat? Everything that you're making at home is good for you. It's also good for the planet.
It's amazing you saying that, Ruchita, and yet why I'm pushing you on this is that one would say this is like good mother's advice, eat well. But you're also the most famous nutritionist in the country, one of the, you're a fitness expert. So people who are your clients also end up looking fantastic. They, like Karina and Alia and all these people. So then what's that secret between, like, if I eat the way my mother tells me to eat, I'm going to be quite plump actually, because
Have you tried doing it? The thing is that, we never try doing it. We are like, okay, Karina kya kha rahi hai, main wo khati hu. But the whole thing is that we all need to eat according to the place we grew up in, according to the family's recipes, according to the season, and then we will actually be in good health. We won't get fat. So maybe you should try eating your mother's food for full 3 months at a stretch to see what difference it makes to your energy levels and to your exercise compliance, to your sleep quality, to your period cycle, and then to your cravings. Because a lot of times when we move away from our mother's foods, we move closer to the refrigerator at 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. and that's when we eat everything like the chocolates and the cookies, which we don't want to eat, otherwise. So there is really no such thing as good fat and bad fat. But if you did push me a lot, I would say all good food has a name in your native language. You can source it from from a local market, from a local sabzi wala, phal wala and stuff, and you will have multiple recipes of making it in your home. So ghee, for example, you can use it over dal bati, you can use it over dal chawal, you can use it on puran pori. So there are multiple ways of using it. So everything that is sasta, sundar, tikau is a good fat, is a good carb, is a good protein.
So you're saying anything that's not in a packet and is fresh and is not.
Yeah. Anything that is not in a packet, anything that doesn't come with that doesn't come with the hashtag good fat, I think that is good for you.
So, Ruchita, I was hearing, many people have spoken about that change in their way of thinking. What made you think differently? Like you do draw from traditional, but I believe going to your grandparents' farm made you change your ideas about food. So,
no, actually, I never changed my ideas about food. These are the ideas that I've always had. These are the ideas that most Indians have always had. But because they have reached to us, ideas like eat at home, eat on time, eat what is in season, be grateful for what is on your plate, don't waste your food, share what you have with everyone, don't eat when you're angry, if you're frustrated, don't vent it out on food. These are very Indian ideas. These are very, these are very basic ideas that belong to all cultures in one way or the other. So I never moved away from these ideas, but the reason why we tend to move away from these ideas is because these ideas come to us from the women in our homes. They come to us in our local native vernacular languages, and they come to us in the form of songs and stories and proverbs, and we don't really think that there is any science or sustainability to women, native languages, and science and stories and songs and rituals and proverbs. So when we change that idea and when we actually begin to accept the more commonsensical ways of eating and living, that's when we realize that it's good for the health of people, it's good for the health of planet, it's good for our health, and it's good for sustainability also. You don't have to do something dramatically different, you just have to do the same old thing with new enthusiasm every day.
Ruchita said that learning to eat properly is like learning to cycle or swim or play tennis.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because then once you get the hang of it, then you can do it every time. Then you don't have to watch over yourself. This whole business of watching over yourself, having a nudge like a watch which tells you that you've eaten too much now. There are people who now wear clips on their lips so that they don't eat more than what they need to. There are gadgets which will pinch you if you eat something which is not on your diet. I think think that's cruelty. Living a free life means that we should be able to eat what we would like to eat. We should have the confidence that we have the ability to self-regulate. There should be no fat shaming or blaming, saying that anyone who's out of shape is their fault. There could be multiple reasons at work, and everyone can get in good shape in due course of time. You have to keep at it. It is a you have to look at it 3 months at a time. You have to look at it as a lifelong commitment. It can't be about moving from one diet to another.
This is completely going against the kind of popular consciousness, like you said, that either people drop their carbs or they eat protein, or then they, even quinoa and kale is something you diss. I get the overall philosophy of what you're saying, but within that, what are the superfood? What make us go away today thinking differently about some ingredients that we are not looking at, perhaps?
Okay, I think I was at the UN FAO Pulses Day. I was speaking, but of course speaking only virtually, because we were people from many countries. And that's when I learned that France is also now having a policy to grow more pulses. They're going to be attempting that over the next 15 years. So pulses is a superfood. India has been the world's largest producer of pulses, but they're slowly going out of our diets and kitchens.
But isn't pulses fattening? I've always been told that dal and chawal is like the most fattening thing.
That is what happens when you've been a former colony, that every native food, every native practice, every native language and way of life is dissed and looked down upon. And we desperately look for the approval of the West and say, we want them to say, okay, this is a good thing to do. Our young people are now doing this, so you should continue doing it. Whether it is vegetarianism, whether it is yoga, whether it is anything else, we want the West to do it first. We want to do it later, even though it is something which has been a part of our culture for centuries together. So pulses don't make us fat. In fact, the Canada Food Guide that came in 2019 now calls pulses as both protein and vegetable, because it has fiber, it has amino acids, it has vitamin B. Otherwise, protein sources don't have fiber, and vegetable sources may lack protein, but pulses is one of those things which will have both. So we need to bring back our pulses. Things like kulthi, we've stopped eating it. The Goa beans, we've stopped eating it. Everyone goes to Goa for a holiday, but they don't land up eating the local pulse there. There is Navrangi dal from Dehradun. All of this needs to come back on our plate, and they have a very long shelf life. Once you buy them, you can eat them for the rest of the year. So pulses is something we need to bring back. We need to bring back, our millets. So the bajra, ragi, nachni, rajgira, all of these need to come back onto our plate. The third thing would be our chutneys and pickles. One of the Indian things to do is to make different pickles. Winter ka ek achar, summer ka ek achar. We are forgetting to do that because we are now worried that, it's high in salt, it's high in oil. But we eat this much achar with every meal, So when we lose the context, we lose out on the fun and in really what keeps life, what it is meant to be. Anna in Indian context, Anna is the root to Ananda, or joy. So we need to bring back our achars. And I think the fourth thing would be that we need to, what else would be super is that, this is not entirely food related, but gender plays a huge role in food and our health. So we need our men back in the kitchens like the way they used to be in the kitchens, buying produce, that kind of stuff needs to happen. More contribution of men in the kitchen, because now we also have women who are working outside of the homes. And I think lastly what we need to do for our health is strong pressure on every government to give us walkable roads, to keep green open spaces intact, because health is really multidisciplinary. It is not about consuming certain ratio of protein to carbohydrate to fat. It is really about how we live as a society, gender equations in our home, pollution and walkable cities, and then of course the native food that we eat, So it's about really getting everything in our basket and not just going after one thing.
Ruchita, it's amazing hearing you say this, and for me, mana to my ears, I'm going to have you like a recording in my ear all the time. It would be unfair to have you here because there's always a prurient interest, and I'm going to end with this question. That naturally, in a way, the best ambassadors for your way of thinking are people like a Karina or a Alia, because they are your most public ambassadors of your way of thinking. So will you give us an insight into how what have they done with their bodies? How have you changed their thinking? And how do they stay looking the way they do?
Well, again, it's like, I don't think of myself as someone who has to go about converting the way people think. So Karina, even when she came to me, we started working together, and way back in 2007, even at that time she thought she looked stunning. Even now she thinks that she looks stunning. You have to start from a point where you like the way you're looking. Only then you can improve. If you hate the way you look, if you can't bear to stand the way you're looking in the mirror, that's why you're trying to correct your diet. It's a lose-lose battle. You will only going to lose more confidence, more self-esteem, and more of whatever is left of your good looks. So it has to start from a place where you love the way you look. And then, of course, you eat right. So Karina eats a banana in the morning. She eats aloo paratha for breakfast. She eats dal chawal for lunch. She eats varan bhat in the night. She eats mango in the mango season. She eats sitafal in the sitafal season. Same goes for Alia. We only tweak it based on whether they're shooting for a song or whether they're shooting in Delhi or a Mumbai or a Rajasthan, and then just include more local food. And I feel that there is immense power in what Bollywood does, especially people who are successful in Bollywood do. Again, because many people they can influence habits of many people. So there are many people who can then comfortably eat a paratha because Karina Kapoor ne bhi kha ke wazan kam kiya, so that does happen. And of course with that there will be some people who will say ke jhoot bol rahi hai, quinoa khati hogi, but the whole thing is that most of us don't even know how quinoa is spelled, so I sometimes find it really funny that, see, in India we are a developing economy, but our affluent people want to eat other developing countries ke poor logo ka khana, when there is so much of our own khana that we can eat, so we can't be like thinking पेरिस में कौन क्या खा रहा है, बॉस्टन में क्या खा रहा है, न्यूयॉर्क में क्या खा रहा है, लंदन में क्या खा रहा है, वही मैं दिल्ली में बैठ के खाऊंगी, so the whole thing is that even if we are eating bajra, we are now eating pearl millet salad versus eating a bajra roti or a bajra laddu. So we are waiting next time I go to London, if I get a bajra cracker in my favorite cafe, idhar aake khaungi, so we need to change that. I really think it's about changing perspective. It's about not waiting for anyone at all to endorse our eating habits, because we are a country of diverse, of diverse cuisines, of diverse languages. In our diversity lies our strength. We cannot give up on diversity and all of us eat one uniform diet of ratios of protein, carbs and fat. तो फर्क क्या रहेगा अपने में और किसी और में? So we have to eat like the way we've always been eating, It's going to be aloo paratha for someone, it's going to be mudde and curry for another person, and we should retain that. I think that's when we'll have a more interesting and a more harmonious life, a more happy life.
Thank you, Ruchita. That's a beautiful note to end on. Last fact. Is it true or is it false that you, being a fitness expert, don't keep a weighing machine in your...
Oh, very much. You know, I don't own a weighing scale. I never weigh anyone, and I'm still in business. I'm still the one closing your session. Huh? So, thank you. I really thought, Shoma, you will ask me what does more mean. Yeah. And I was going to say more means... more means mohabbat. It means pyar. Because in India, you know, you only feed more to people that you care about, you know. So more is also more pyar and mohabbat. So we should never forget that.
Thank you so much, Ruchita. That was really a beautiful note to end on.
And
Thank you.
Thank you
everyone for being here. I wish that 1,000 people who were here had heard all of this, because it's, for me, beautiful takeaways. You've left me a much happier woman today.